Welcome, everyone. Another great Sunday afternoon and, of course, Music Scene Investigation. Glad you're with us. Glad to have you along for the ride today. Got a lot going on, but before we get to that, I do want to take the opportunity to let you know I forgot to turn a light on over here. But that's okay. It's not about me. It's not about light. This is about music. And what we do here on Music Scene Investigation is we review music from indie artists anywhere in the world. It's easy for you as an indie artist to become a part of Music Scene Investigation. Submit your music to us at musicsceneinvestigation.com. Just head over there right now. Well, you can do it after the show, too. Well, in fact, 24 hours a day. It's very easy to do. And every week we're going to select 3 of those songs randomly and put them before our panel to get their review of those tracks. Now, the reviews our panel gives are not like the reviews you read in trade magazines, you know, where, hey, yeah, it's got a great beat, you can dance to it, I really enjoyed that track, blah, blah, blah. It's not anything like that. Usually what you're going to get out of our panelists are technical reviews. We have reviews that are very technical in nature for the most part. Reviews from panelists like Tom Chianti from New York City, who's a recording engineer by trade. Tom, how you doing, man?
Okay, Rich. Looking forward to a boatload of good music today.
I certainly hope we can provide a boatload for you. How big a boat you looking?
I'll settle for anything from a single-man canoe to a whole luxury liner.
All right, we'll try and shoot for somewhere in between the two. How's that?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for being here, Tom. And we also have a independent musician himself. He's actually been a signed musician. He's a great guy, all the way from London, England. It's Ian Husbands. Hey, Ian.
How you doing? What's my name?
Ian Husbands.
That's the one. Very well pronounced for your American accent. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Glad to see you. You're looking mighty Star Wars-ish, if that's a word.
Yeah, my son dresses me these days.
I was going to say it's not your typical costume for the show.
No, I mean my son is big into Star Wars, and he always sort of goes out and sort of says, "Daddy, you should buy that one." So we got stormtroopers on the beach with a little Latat Walker as a dog this week.
Ah, very cool. Now, in the chat room, Mark from over at Butterflies Radio is wanting to know what's behind the green curtain.
He doesn't want to know.
Mark, he's processing sides of beef.
I mean, you know, I've put it up for a reason, obviously. I don't want you to see what's behind there. And it's going to have to remain that way, I'm afraid.
All right, not a problem. You're getting a applause for your shirt from Elaine out in the chat room as well, giving it a 10 plus on a 1 to 10 scale, apparently, so that's good.
Thank you very much. I've got some witness statement results for us this week.
Please, let us in on the witness.
Well, basically, overall, our witnesses from last week's show agreed with the panel. And song 1 was first for songwriting with 60% of the votes, first in best performance with 80% of the votes, and for best mix and production it took 80% of the votes as well. So everyone tends to agree with us.
Well, that's amazingly cool. And of course we want to invite everyone to participate in that and be a witness again this week. You can do that by clicking on that Be a Witness button right off to the side of the page and letting us know what you think. You can do it before you hear all 3 songs, after you hear all 3 songs, but honestly, it's better if you do that after you've heard all 3 songs. I'm just saying, it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to second-guess yourself that way.
And for the record, I'm not kidnapping Olympic athletes, just the organisers who have basically made it a whole tragedy.
And, of course, we know their security team can't do anything about it, so it's all good.
Well, I mean, I'd actually hired some security for this week, but I went through G4S and they haven't shown up.
Makes perfect sense. Well, Ian, thanks for being here. I appreciate that very much. Our guest panelist this week's been with us before. She normally can be found over at the Live2Play Network unless she's out gigging. She does a lot of that, I understand. In fact, I just heard she's in a new band. How cool is that? Andrea Bensmiller is here with us. Andrea, welcome back. Glad to see you again.
Hey, Rich. So glad to be here. As always, I love hanging with you guys.
Well, Tom, I'm sure Tommy is very happy to hear that. He's always asking about you, wondering what's going on. Why haven't we heard from Andrea again? And
I know.
I keep trying to tell him, Tom, she doesn't want to talk to you.
I do. I love talking to Tommy.
I know you do.
Man, my all my stuff at Live2Play keeps me so swamped lately.
Yeah, I know that I've been over to Live2Play Network. In fact, I was over here earlier today. Imagine that. And I noticed then, and we talked about this a little bit prior to the show. You guys are changing things up a little bit in the way you do your reviews. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? There's a lot more video involved.
Yeah, we decided last year that all of our reviews would have a video element. That was part of going to our video e-zine and knowing that we were going to start putting out iPad editions, and we wanted to have embedded video on pretty much everything that we do. We're trying to do that for the blogs too, but definitely for reviews, because we feel like when you look at a piece of gear, you don't just want to read about it. You want to see what it does. You want to hear what it sounds like. You want to hear somebody who's used it talk about it. And so that's pretty much the standard for us. It's a lot more work, obviously. It's hard to find people who can do it, but we're committed to that. So that's what we're doing.
Well, I think that's a great idea, and it's got to be tough, when you take and put reviews out on the web in text form to explain, especially when you're doing reviews on audio equipment, to explain how that piece of gear sounds in words just doesn't cut it. I think the audio and the video is going to add such an extra dimension to it. It's going to be great. Now, you said you're having a tough time getting people, to do these kind of reviews. What are the toughest things you're running up against?
Well, it's shocking because we live in this world where everything is so techy right now. And everybody's used to their phones and all that stuff. And I'm sure everybody out there does video on their phones, but we're having a hard time finding people who actually use video all the time, and enough to be able to, have a camera and then get it off the camera and get it to us in a certain way. So that's one of the problems, and then it's also, you got to be able to translate what this stuff does. It's not just about knowing how to work it, but you got to be able to tell people how it works. So yeah, reviews are not easy.
It's all about making it understandable to people who may not have as much technical capability as what the person giving the review is, perhaps. You got to be able to do that whole layman's term thing.
Definitely. And, at the same time, still get across to maybe some other users who do know what they're doing, what the gear actually does. So, yeah, it's challenging, but we are adding people all the time. We've got a couple new audio engineers that are really good at it. So, yeah, we're just kind of plugging along, and things keep getting better all the time at Live2Play. We've got more to do than we can possibly think about, but
well, speaking of that, I know that you guys are expanding over there, starting to move into to some of the ministry and worship areas as well. We talked to Bill about that here a while back. I know that's a big aspect of what you guys are moving into.
Yeah, we added Live2Play Worship. It was our first iPad launch. It's going to be its own channel, basically have its own site, but we're thinking about it as a channel. And it's really because we have so many people that work with us that also work with churches or houses of worship, and they have different challenges than gigging musicians. So, we basically are launching a whole channel for them to talk about gear and talk about how to do what they do better. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Now, I'm actually looking forward to this coming out, so I'm pretty excited about it myself. Now, speaking of gear, I noticed you're using a new microphone today. Normally, you have a headset mic that you use when we talk to you on the show. And,
yeah, normally I had that crappy mic. You can go ahead and say it, Rich.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I mean, we've gone back and forth about that a number of times. But you got a new microphone with a nice bright blue LED on it. Tell us about it.
I did. Audio-Technica sent us this awesome, cool little mic, which is actually designed exactly for this purpose. It's a USB mic. It plugs directly into USB. You notice it also has a regular standard XLR input, and it's got, which I was hesitant to try, but I decided to because we were going to check it and see how it worked. It actually has an 1/8" headphone jack in it too, so everything right now is going through this mic.
I got to say, it sounds really, really quiet. I mean, it sounds great.
It is. It's very quiet, and the headphone part sounds quiet. I've got a super high-end pair of Westone in-ears in, and those are plugged into it, and it sounds super clean.
Well, I'm glad it sounds clean on your end because Ian has gas, and I didn't want to. I mean, Ian, don't be mad at me, please. Okay.
It's the Jack Daniels and Coke, man. I have to burp once in a while. It's only human nature.
All right, well,
it's like having a bath. It's only human nature. And I just want to, while I've got the mic, I'm going to interpose here. I'd like to apologise in advance if the show goes wrong. We were talking with Andrea beforehand. She's joined a country band, which I'm sure we'll get around to talking about. And Rich has now got the vision of Andrea in a cowboy hat with a big belt and cowboy boots on. And it might all go to pot if Rich is thinking on that and not the show.
It very well could. It very well could. Why don't you tell us about that, Andrea? I know that you're in a number of bands. You're constantly out doing stuff. What about this new band?
Yeah, they contacted me a couple weeks ago, and I don't know any of the music, so I'm in cram mode. But they had a female bass player who sang with them, and she can no longer do this gig, so they called me. And country is a whole new. I mean, I've been doing traditional country with a couple bands here for a while, but modern country is a whole new thing for me. So I'm learning a lot about it.
And we talked a couple of minutes beforehand. It seems like modern country's kind of done that whole crossover into what rock was, at one point.
It's most of the new stuff sounds exactly like rock tunes to me. It's a lot of the same riffs. There's it's a little bit simpler, but there's a lot of kicks in it. Where everybody's playing the same part, guitar and bass together playing the same part. So it's really different to me than traditional country, and definitely you can hear the metal and the hard rock influence. So
yeah, wasn't it like 40 years ago they used to call that part Western? The country and Western kind of thing. The rock aspect, the crossover stuff was the Western part.
Yeah, as I was telling you guys before, I know nothing about country culture. I am so out of touch with that part of that part of America. There's some country music that I like, but I've just never followed it. So this is new for me, and I'm learning a lot very quickly. I'll show you. These are my cheater charts. This is all I'm doing for the next 3 days is writing cheater charts for country tunes, so that
it's easy.
If I need to play on the 1st of August, I have to actually try to figure out how to pull that off. So,
well, I think you'll do fantastically. You'll do just fine. New stuff is good stuff.
Well, thank you, Rich. I try. We'll see.
Not a problem. I think you'll do just fine. And speaking of new stuff, we've got a lot of it to get to today. We've got 3 new tracks that we want to hit up. And so I want to get you guys all ready for that out in the audience, as well as our panel. And by the way, I want that mug. I really do.
This mug?
Yeah, that mug there.
Yeah, this is my. This is a Halloween picture from.
Oh, very cool.
Years ago. That's me in my Halloween bride print or corpse bride outfit.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Definitely want the mugs. Make me a copy of one, send it over. It'd be cool. All right, we do have some great new music to listen to. I want to get started on that. So if you guys want to take and tack the old headphones on and hit the play buttons, we'll do that right now. Here is song number 1 on today's MSI, everybody. Hope you enjoy it. And there you have track number 1 on today's MSI. Let's go over to Ian and find out what he thought of track number 1. Ian, what do you think of track number 1? I got to tell you, your video is kind of freaking me out there. It's pretty glitchy when you move.
I've got a glimpse of that. It's like something from The Ring, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It would have made a great video for this song, though, I think.
I'm going to have to rip that off the video and use that sometimes. That was fantastic. Hopefully that's settled down now. Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very well done piece of music. I mean, it's mood music, isn't it? It's got an ambience about it. It's got a groove to it. And everything is sitting very well together. I mean, as an overall mix and production, there's a really nice use of sounds. I liked the sort of mix of the traditional sound, like the acoustic bass in there, with the sort of more synthy, up-to-date sounds and the bleeps and the little distortions going on. Lots to listen to. And it did keep it interesting. I mean, I did find it got a little bit samey, didn't really go anywhere. There was a little melody line playing in places that was kind of set back, and I personally would have liked to hear more of that. Because, you know, it gave me something to grab onto and listen to a bit more. But this is a very well done piece of music, work, film, or corporate music or something like that. It's definitely sort of should be aimed towards that direction. It's got dynamics. There was a little stutter on the drums at one point, a couple of points actually, and I don't know if it was done on purpose or if it just wasn't caught when the mix was done. I found that a little distracting. If it was done on purpose, I still found it a little bit distracting. It was like, what happened there? I didn't like that. It was bad for my ears. But overall, yeah, this is a great mix. Nice stereo panning as well in there. Not much more to say, as I said. Got a little bit repetitive and maybe could have finished a bit sooner.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that, and we'll try and get your video fixed here in just a couple of seconds. Let's go to Tom, find out what he thought. Tom, what do you think?
I thought it was well pieced together. I would have liked to have heard some filter sweeps, maybe some strings. It did get a bit repetitive. It was very melodic, and I liked that. It was structured well and produced well. I just felt it should have gone further, gone more of a place, a different place, instead of just stayed in that one level. It could have built very beautifully and become a nice orchestral. It's definitely a perfect track for a vocal to go over it with a very moody type of song. I agree with Ian on the drums and the nice use of sounds and stuff. I was just wanting more from it because it was done so well, and I think it's an excellent start, and they can really take this places.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you. And Andrea Bensmiller from the Live2Play Network, what did you think of track number 1?
Yeah, I agree with Ian and Tommy. Beautiful piece. Really, really a beautiful film bed. Sonically, I don't have anything negative to say. It's really well produced. Nice sounds. Love the delays and the reverbs that were used, really, really clean. From a composition point of view, since we do have people here who submit for composition, just so you know, from the film and TV side, though this piece will probably work for a lot of stuff, you'll increase your chances of getting it into things by doing what Tommy was saying, adding some sections that either have something interesting happening that's different or a build of some kind, or adding a vocal over it for those times when that's what they're looking for, right? Because as it is, it's a gorgeous piece, but if they're not looking for that particular thing with no vocal and no building or no sections, then it might not get used still. So but definitely really well done piece, beautifully recorded. I liked it a lot. That's pretty much it. All
right, I appreciate that, Andrea. Thank you. And take time to introduce that track to everyone. That track is called Baseline. Pretty simple, from Joe Goffin. Joel Goffin, we appreciate your sending that track in to MSI. Now, before we go on, I want to take the time and remind everybody out there, if you're not listening to butterfliesradio.com, well, you better be here watching this show. That's all I got to say, because over at butterfliesradio.com, it's all indie all the time. And on Tuesday nights, they do this crazy little thing they call Twitter Tuesday Live. I'm over there every Tuesday night trying to crack these kids up. I need a little help from you guys out there. So join us over at butterfliesradio.com, and let's make these kids laugh so that Mark will say crazy stuff into the microphone all the time. It should be a good time, really. I mean that.
Yeah, but that's normally when he's forgotten to turn the microphone off in between sections.
That's a real good point. He does that quite a lot. He really does. So we're trying to get him to do that more often. All right, everybody, it is time for track number 2 on today's MSI. You guys ready to go out there?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
I knew you would be. Let's go ahead and play track number 2 on today's MSI.
race headlong into the future. You live through your computer. It's got you on a short leash. No, you can't run, but at least you can keep on working. Your back is sore. When all they want is more, they can take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They can take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. Can I get a little money for the teachers and 10% for the preachers? Can I get a little money for the police? You think you're broke, well at least you can keep on working, your back is sore. And all they want is more. They can take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They can take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? Well, I've been working all my life and I got nothing to show for all the sweat and the blood and doing what I should. There's no end in sight. I owe so much that I can't quit till I'm in the grave. Till then I'm a slave. When they put you out in the street, they'll say you're lucky and at least they call you middle class, but you know you're poor. At least you know who you've been working for. They could take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They could take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Ain't that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee.
And that's track number 3 on today, or excuse me, number 2 on today's MSI. I get ahead of myself every once in a while. I blame it all on Ian. I really do. All right, let's go to Tommy, find out what he thought. Tommy, what do you think of number 2 today?
Oh, bless him.
Okay, bless him. I liked it. There were a lot of balance problems with the vocal. The background vocals were nice and big, and the lead vocal was nowhere near the same size in comparison. It could have been. The performances were well. I would have liked to have heard another guitar. One thing that struck me was like in the beginning, the guitar was sort of over to the left, and then as the intro ended, it just like shot right over to the right, which sort of caught me a little bit. But it definitely could have used another guitar. The drum playing, it should have been funkier all over. It didn't bounce enough for me. But I do like it, and I think the use of the background vocals was outstanding. It's just that they were a little overpowering compared to the lead. The lead kept getting lost, and the drums and the rest of the instruments, it's definitely inconsistent in the balances, and it needed a stronger mix to bring these things out. I love the rhythm of the lead and the mixture of the harmonies, and that breakdown in the middle there, the middle eight, whatever you want to call it, was really interesting, and it picked back up again. It held my interest throughout. It was overall a good song that I think just needs to be brought back in and mixed better.
All right, I appreciate that, Tommy. Thank you, and let's find out what Andrea thought. Andrea, what do you think of track number 2?
Yeah, I agree with Tommy on the mix. It's an interesting song because it's really retro and it has this 70s throwback feel, but it doesn't have anything modern in it, which for me was, I don't want to say a negative, but a weakness, because you're only going to find certain people who, like that whole totally retro thing. But it was interesting. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just I think that the mix and the production didn't do it any service in making it modern. The drums, to me, really busy. It could have just gone to really just grooving instead of. There was a lot of complex hi-hat stuff at some point where it went into a kind of a busier feel. The drums in general didn't sound great to me, and wasn't nuts about the snare sound or any of the toms. It sounded retro, but retro sounds doesn't mean it always sounds good, especially now that our ears have been adapted to really great sounding stuff. So I thought the bass was great. I love the bass player. It sat nicely, really nice tone. Guitar and keys, they were tough to distinguish to me. At the beginning, that guitar part is very obvious, but I don't know whether it's the part or the mix itself, but it got tough for me to hear those, and part of that was probably because the backing vocals were so present. Vocals, excellent. Great backing vocals, great voice on the lead. Really impressed with that, but the overall mix isn't supporting this the way it could. So I'm with Tommy in that would need to be worked out, and maybe working with a producer to get some modern feel going on.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Andrea. Thank you very much. And Ian, what do you think of number 2?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much going to echo what Tom and Andrew have said in a lot of sense. I found the mix very hot. I found everything was just over-compressed, and there was a lot of stuff sitting in the top end, which is why I think Andrea's saying there was difficulty distinguishing the keys and the guitars sometimes, because those guitars were very up front, I found, and they were very brittle, and they were very, just too much top end. They needed to be warmed up. And overall, the mix for me had no space. Everything was just sitting there. Everything was just on top of each other. The backing vocals were very dominant. They were overpowering the lead vocal. But as a song, I think this has got a lot of potential. I didn't mind the busy drums, and I think once that mix is cleaned up, then you can hear everything that bit better. And as Andrea said, the drum sounds are improved. I don't think that performance is going to be a bad thing for the song. I think it'll be a good thing. It's just at the moment when everything's muddy on top of each other, it's not distinguished and just makes things sound worse. The vocal performance I found was very strong, very soulful. Liked the sort of odd timing in there on a few occasions. That was great. Again, the backing vocal was very, very strong. I thought, to me, this had sort of a heart back to Stevie Wonder, and also a bit of Jamiroquai. So sort of, I think there was a touch of modernness in there for me. But except that I can't remember the bass line. The bass line to me was very meh. It was there, but it wasn't there, and it was very sort of nothing special. Didn't really stick out in my head. But a great song, I think. Good performance. I like the little breakdown to the Hammond organ style before the song coming back in towards the end. And overall, a well-written track. I mean, I love a song with a message, and this has got a message. There were some great lines in there, like the price of being free is we get no guarantee. And I think I'd like to go back and certainly listen to these lyrics again, because I think they're going to be very well written and very poignant for our time.
All right, I appreciate that, Ian. Thank you very much. Now, the name of that track and the artist who sent that in is No Guarantee by Bosco and Peck. So, Bosco and Peck, thanks for sending that track in to us. We really appreciate it. All right, now, before we move on, I do want to remind everyone out in our listening audience, if you get the opportunity, join us on Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern and 10:30 p.m. GMT for a little thing we do over at MSI Radio called Indie Inquest. In fact, you can join us that same time every second Wednesday of the month for another little thing we called the Hit List. And the Hit List is all about these guys who come on and get Song of the Week on MSI. We throw them into the ring against each other and find out who the winner is, basically. Once a month, we're going to select a winner. And our sponsor, the Live2Play Network, SoundPro Live, and our partners over at Butterflies Radio and Indie Music Bus have all gotten together and put a prize package together for the Hit List winner. You can find more about that at musicsceneinvestigation.com/hitlist.
Can we play our new promo?
We could play the new promo. Would you like to, Ian?
Yeah, because we got Ken on it now.
All right. No, we can't play that new promo. I don't have that tagged up.
No, let's not play it. We'll do it next week.
Yeah, we'll do it next week. We'll get the new promo in next week and bring that to you. All right.
Featuring the voice of Ken Scott.
Exactly, that voice guy.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's move on. We have one more track to listen to. Let's do that right now. This is track number 3 on today's MSI. I told the guys on the panel that this song ran long. It ran 5 minutes, 32 seconds. I cut it off at 5 minutes on purpose. And if you want to hear the rest of that song, maybe if it wins, gets chosen as Song of the Week, we'll make that available in its entirety. All right, let's go straight to Andrea from the Live2Play Network. Andrea, what did you think of track number 3?
Yeah, I love the 80s, recall stuff. I grew up in the 80s, so it takes me right back to that time. So, this reminds me of like a Depeche Mode track or something from that period. And I really like it. That for the most part, the sounds are good, really well recorded. It's a little stagnant as a track in total. I thought the recording was decent. I didn't have any problem with the sounds. They're all a little similar, or all a little close to each other for me. And the drums, hard to tell whether that's a sample or somebody having programmed a machine, but or their computer. But it's just a little too much the same thing throughout the whole song, and the sections didn't have much difference in them. Usually the section was used as a dropout, like they dropped out an instrument and just let whatever the other instruments were playing continue, which is what I consider kind of a lazy production technique. What you really want to do when you think about sections in your song as a producer is, what are you doing differently there to make it a completely different piece from when the rest of the song is playing? And that to me just didn't happen. The chorus line I thought was a little bit weak. It wasn't much of a hook, the actual melody. But if you were going to use it, it could have been strengthened by maybe a harmonic line or a counterpoint line, because I thought that the vocal was actually pretty interesting. This guy's voice is interesting. I like his voice quality. It sounded to me like he might have an accent, which I thought was also kind of interesting, but it got a little boring whenever that melody line came back to the chorus, which to me, wouldn't necessarily have to. The unfortunate thing about this song, I really like it. I'm not so sure there's an outlet for it right now, because it's real, during the 80s, this was dance music, and dance music now is so different than it was then. So, where it's going to land out there in the market, not sure. Doesn't mean don't do it. Just means kind of be prepared. That if someone won't play it in a dance club, it's just because it's so much from that 80s sound. But I did like it. Lots of good things going on, certainly. I'm going to let the guys take care of all the sonic stuff.
All right. I appreciate it, Andrea. Thank you. And speaking of guys with an interesting accent, or interesting guys with an accent, I don't know which, here's Ian with his thoughts on track 3. Ian?
Let's get this straight. I haven't got the accent you guys have. You
All right.
speak the English language, thus I am English.
Okay. All right. Get off my back.
That. And if we're on the subject of accents, I mean, this guy needed more of a Northern England accent to my liking. This song is the Happy Mondays, it's Black Grape, it's the Mock Turtles, it's the Stone Roses, it's all the sort of big 80s indie bands from Britain that seem to be having a massive resurgence at the moment. Except it lacked a few elements that sort of gave them their shine. And, this needed some trumpets or a horn section, putting in some stabs and putting in a bit of a melody line now and again, sort of question and answer to some of the vocal maybe, or something like that. And it also needed that sort of gospel choir, sort of sat there singing, I'm stuck on the loo tonight, or something like that, just something catchy and hooky, and a bit like the Happy Mondays did. The mix to me was, I mean, it does sound like it's a string of Apple loops or samples shoved together, and it's been done pretty well. I mean, it's not a bad mix. I found the synths were very dominant, and I did find that the vocal a bit wet. Although saying that and thinking about it, in the 80s, that sort of music, the vocals were very wet, and they were set quite back in the mix as well. It was all about getting that beat going and keeping that strong. I listened to the whole 5 minutes 32 of this, and the outro was worse than a fade out.
I am surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, worse than a fade out. It just carries on and on and on over the same loop and the same loop, and then maybe a conga comes in or something like that, and ooh, no, it's going nowhere. And then it just stopped, like they'd sort of gone and stopped. So yeah, that needs a bit of attention. I'd prefer a fade out, please, But yeah, I mean, the bass line was grooving, the beats were strong, although yes, a little repetitive, could do with breaking up some fills and everything in there. And this, again, this guy could have at least layered some vocals in there to build that chorus in a little bit more. Lyrically, it doesn't really stick in my mind, but the guy's voice was interesting. It is of the 80s time, and as Andrea said, it might have a place now with the resurgence of the bands that are coming back, especially in the UK. We've got the Stone Roses are touring and several other those sort of northern Manchester scene indie bands, and this fits right in. Will people buy something new? I don't know, but it's certainly relevant in England at the moment.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Want to also welcome Toon Talks out on Twitterland, listening in or watching the show. Tom, what do you think of track number 3?
It's definitely very 80s. The mix was very, very bland and didn't make the parts sparkle and stand out as much as they could. I thought the vocal performance could have been a little bit more energized. For what it is, a redone of an 80s feel, it's captured it very precisely, and the 80s have passed. I think it should have brought in some newer elements to make it more interesting. It got a little redundant to me. The vocal was too low. Overall, it would be pleasant as if I was in a conversation and it came on in a club. It would be a nice tune to talk over. But again, there was nothing really memorable about it for me. And the mix needs punching up, and it just didn't seem to blossom. I was waiting for it to really go someplace different and a change of rhythm or some sort of change, and it didn't happen.
All right, Tom. Well, I appreciate your thoughts and want to find out what everybody else thinks as well. Head over to that link Ian's put in the chat room, or to musicsceneinvestigation.com/witness if you happen to be nowhere near a chat room at all, and get your thoughts out there on the polls that are available on that Be a Witness page. Now, to our panelists, a task left to do is you're selecting a song of the week. So I'm going to let you guys talk about it and figure out what you want to do here.
First of all, I'd like to say nice to see the standard of music taking another step forward this week.
I missed last week's show, but I don't know. It didn't. This week seemed to go much better from what you guys said.
It was a tough show last week. I think it's a tough show this week because the songs are all of quite a good standard, I think.
Yeah, I would say they are. I think my favorite of them, they all have a weakness, They all have strengths and they all have a weakness. But my favorite of them is the first composition, really just because I think it has the fewest number of weaknesses.
All right. Ian and Tom?
I'm going to have to go with number 2. Purely, I think the lyrical quality was fantastic. It was uppy. It was interesting. As to me, as I said, it's got elements of Stevie Wonder and Jamiroquai in there, so I think it could be quite relevant now. Does need a remix. Would like to hear that a bit more level playing field instead of having things so up there. But yeah, I think for me, number 2.
All right, and that's going to leave it to Tom. Tom, what do you think?
As much as I love Andrea and her taste in music and her wise and wily ways, I'm going to have to disagree with her. Number 1 was very melodic and it was very interesting, but it did have its problems. And the main thing that was wrong with number 2 was just the balance thing. So I'm going to have to go with Ian on number 2.
All right. Well, there you have it. And if it's any consolation, Andrea, I would have went with you. All right. I like number 1. Like I said in the chat room, it gave me chills when I heard it the other day for the first time. And Ian has fallen over. Somebody please help him up. Okay.
So I'm fine.
He had a heart attack.
Wow, Tom.
You can't believe that Tommy actually agreed with him.
Love you, man.
You owe me one.
All right. Now, song number 2 is No Guarantee by Bosco and Peck. So we appreciate the fact that you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully everybody out in the audience did as well. And congratulations to Bosco and Peck. Now, Andrea, we want to thank you for joining us again. Really appreciate that. Always a great time. And no major breakdowns either this time.
Yeah, technology didn't let us down today. Yay.
That's a first
Don't
for
blame
everything.
the technology.
It's always my fault. It's not technology's fault. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It's always fun.
All right, and go see Andrea over at the Live2Play Network. She's there all the time, having a great time, doing lots of video stuff over there, reviews and stuff. That's all very cool stuff. And hopefully we'll see you back here really, really soon.
I hope so.
All right, Tom, Ian, thank you guys as well. Appreciate it. And want to remind everybody, next week you want to join us as well, right here, same time, same channel. Paul Miro is going to be our guest panelist next week. And again, on Wednesday, Indie Inquest. It's the best kept secret of MSI. Tune in to MSI Radio, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 10:30 p.m. GMT if your mom lets you stay up that late. We'd love to have you along with us. Right now we're going to play out with No Guarantee by Bosco and Peck.
Race headlong into the future. You live through your computer. It's got you on a short leash. No, you can't run, but at least you can keep on working. Your back is sore. When all they want is more, they can take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They can take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. Can I get a little money for the teachers and 10% for the preachers? Can I get a little money for the police? You think you're broke, well at least you can keep on working, your back is sore. And all they want is more. They can take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They can take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that got nothing to show for all the sweat and the blood and doing what I should. There's no end in sight. I owe so much that I can't quit till I'm in the grave. Till then I'm a slave. And they put you out in the street. They'll say you're lucky and at least you got your they call you middle class, but you know you're poor. At least you know who you've been working for. They could take your car and take your home and take away everything you thought you ever owned. Is that the price of being free? That we get no guarantee. They could take your home